Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the tutorial to Crusader Kings II. I'm your host, the Revvenge, and today we're gonna look some more at the start of a campaign by first looking at the shields you can see up here. We've got a number of shields. Some are very situational, like this one is we can call in allies. That is basically, it just means that because we're at war, we can call in a few allies because we have a few allies. And we have a few allies because you can see over here in the character screen in the allies tab, we've got 4 people. However, you can see over here that some of them are red and some of them are green. The green ones we can call into battle, while the red ones we can't call into battle for whatever reason. In this case, the reason is simply that they are already vassals of ours, so we can't call them into war because they're already in our war as our vassals. We can already raise them over here in the raise vassal screen for those that aren't already raised to begin with. However, we can call into war Boudewijn van Vlaanderen, which is Dutch name, which is why I can pronounce it. And he lives over here. This is his part of the French kingdom. It's this orange bit. And we also have Robrecht van Vlaanderen, who is the Count of Zeeland, which is this little bit over here. I'm not actually sure whether that's a separate vassal. Is he? No, he is under Flanders. So I think if I call in this guy, I can't call. He won't join it separately because he's already in it due to his liege being in it. Anyway, that's how you can call in allies. You can just click here and you cycle through the guys you can call in, and you can choose here which wars it is for. Then you have got title loss on succession. That is due to our laws, which is Gavelkind at the moment. We have, at the moment, we've got 3 sons, which means that our titles will be divided up between them, and we've got the main titles, which is, you can actually see over here, the titles will be the Barony of Beaumont and the Barony of Argenton. And that is because we've got this bit over here, in which these baronies fall. Let's see where they are actually. So here we've got a barony that is ours, the barony of Argenton, and here's another one, this of Beaumont. So we would lose these 2, but it's only 1 castle in a region, so not the entire region. Because that's the thing, if you look at a region, you can see that there's a number of holdings in there. You've got the capital, which in this case is Rouen, which is the county capital only. In this case, it's also our capital of our little duchy, but this is the county capital. Then we've got a barony in here, which is Lillebonne, a city, and a bishopric. So each one has its own ruler. In this case, I also own the barony of Lillebonne, but the city of Arquez and the bishopric of Fecamp have their own rulers. In this case, for instance, Eustache owns Fecamp, or Fecamp, or whatever. It's French. I'm not good at French. So yeah, these are all their own rulers, and even when I go to war, I actually have to call on these rulers, and they will raise whatever their in this case his bishopric can muster, which is 344 men, which you are trying to raise when you raise your vassal levies. Anyway, with this title loss, that means that the power you control directly, so the ones you would raise from Demesne, that goes down because you have less holdings yourself. However, from vassals will go up a bit, assuming your vassals like you. Well, of course, when I speak about this is when you die. When you die, you become your heir, and your heir will only own the 2 holdings, which are both in Rouen, and actually he will also own what he already owns, which is Maine, the county of Maine. But the two baronies we currently own, Beaumont and Argenton, those two will go to someone else. So that can be very hard, especially when you are when your siblings don't like you, you might get into trouble. Now, we also have Pick an Ambition. Pick an Ambition allows us to go over here in your characters tab and choose an ambition. Because we are a vassal of the King of France, we can choose one of these four to become part of his council, basically, as one of these four guys. For instance, we could very well become a marshal because we've got a very high martial skill. We can also try to become a paragon of virtue or become exalted among men, which basically means that you try and increase one of these values, the piety or the prestige. And we can try to become the King of France. All of these ambitions aren't very good because we're currently trying to conquer England. However, I think that this one should be very doable because we are trying to conquer the Kingdom of England. We'll do a lot of battle and we'll have, if we win, we get a lot of prestige. So this would be the most logical choice at this time. Then we can also press the ducal claims. That basically means that because we are the Duke of Normandy, we can look at the de jure duchies, which is this is the de jure duchy of Normandy. This is the current duchy of Normandy, and we can see that this falls under the county of Vexin rather than the duchy of Normandy. So we can actually attack this guy to get Vexin, because according to history this belongs to us. Just because we have the Duchy of Normandy, we can get this. It's basically the same if you look at, for instance, the de jure kingdoms. You can see that de jure France is this big. And let's see if there's any kingdoms that are around that have less than they should. Well, for instance, here Denmark. Denmark is a thing, you can see over here. But if you look at the de jure borders, it's basically this big. So he basically has a claim on the Holy Roman Empire and on Lubeck to gain these little bits of land, because it should belong to Denmark according to everyone. This is different than a claim, basically, because you basically get it because you're the king of Denmark. You are supposed to have this, so you can tell people, I'm gonna take this now because it's supposed to belong to me and you're not giving it to me. So yeah, and that's basically what we can do as well, but for Vexin, because we are the Duke of Normandy. Now we can also pick a character focus, which I believe is only for people who have what's it called, the latest expansion, which is Way of Life, I believe. And this is basically for each stat that there is: diplomacy, martial, stewardship, intrigue and learning. We can choose a focus which improves that. So for instance, if we look at diplomacy, we can either choose family or carousing. Usually in this case you can either focus completely on diplomacy, which is basically a choice for everyone, for every single one of them. Is you can either choose a +3, and which is the biggest increase you can get, or you can choose a +2 and get some other increases. So for instance, here you can either get a +3 in diplomacy, or get a +2 and get some extra fertility, which makes you get more children, and get some extra health, which means you can live longer, which is a very nice thing to have. Now the same goes for the others, like war. You can get a extra 3 extra martial, or you can get hunting and get some extra health as well. And a hunting dog, actually. There's some specific what do you call them, events linked to each of these things, where you can do something extra. I think with carousing, for instance, it's very easy to seduce people, so they like you, and maybe even join your country just by asking, something like that. Or for instance, if you want to kill someone, you can carouse some of their friends into helping you kill them. Although that might be seduction as well, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, intrigue is intrigue +3 or get some extra fertility and sex appeal. Rulership is extra stewardship or just some less extra stewardship and some city vassal opinion, which is not that good, I think. City vassal opinion might be good if you're a republic, I'm not sure. And then you can get a scholarship, which is learning +3, or theology, which is a +2, and a temple vassal opinion that you get extra. Now I think that for us hunting would be very good because we get some extra martial and we get some extra health, and we don't need extra family focus. I don't think we don't need the fertility because we already have so many children. And I don't think the others give us extra health, and health is just very important, especially if you get a good character like William is. So we would select that one. So you are always trying to get rid of all these. If you don't want to know one of them, you can always right click and say dismiss for now, or disable, which disable you get it for never, and disable for dismiss for now you just don't get it now, and it will pop up again later. Now, so we've gone through the shields now. Let's have a look at the traits. Now, as you can see, we already went through all the stats here, and they each do their own thing. Diplomacy gives you extra liking from your vassal, and martial gives you extra combat ability. And also when you do a duel, for instance, martial is an important role as well. Stewardship helps with I believe you get some extra money, but also it allows you to have a larger demesne size, which is which gets some ruler stewardship bonus, so you can hold more titles directly, more holdings. So when you are very crap at stewardship, for instance, you might only get 2 holdings, and everything else is too much. And when you get too much, you get a reduced income, and your people actually don't like you because you have too many. While at a higher stewardship, you might actually get a very high demesne size. Now the intrigue helps with your plotting and finding of plots, so you get killed less easy and you kill more easy, which basically is it. Plotting is more than just killing, but you can see, for instance, over here that you can also revoke counties and stuff like that, or fabricate claims on the Kingdom of France. Now, what was it? Oh yeah, right here. And learning, I forget. I think it helps with teaching people. I'm not sure. I actually forget. I'm not sure. Then we've got here. Over here is a list with traits, which is very good. You always get one of these if you're a grown-up. If you're above 16 years old, you get, in this case, this guy is a brilliant strategist, which means he's very good at war. And it really helps him, because you can see you get a +9 of martial. He gets a -1 on learning, but everything else is great. Gets a more combat skill, he gets better health. Now, he is also a legitimized bastard, which gives him a -1 on diplomacy. But at the same time, he's ambitious. That means that he hates his lord. He hates his liege because he has the ambition to become great. And if you want to become great, you don't need someone who bosses you around. You don't want to be a duke below the King of France. You want to become the King of France, or King of England in this case. He's diligent as well, which also gives him bonuses on everything. Ambitious and diligent are really great traits you really want to have. Proud gives him a +0.5 on prestige every month, but some people hate you because you're proud and they're humble, for instance. If you've got the opposite traits, which is either a virtue or a sin, you can actually see over here, this is a virtue, which is virtue number 4, and this is sin number 7. So if you got matching sins and virtues, especially if they're opposing ones, you get a negative penalty, and if you've got ones that are the same, usually you get a bonus. He's also cynical, which is a bit annoying, but he gets some extra intrigue. He is brave, which again is good in combat. These ones you can see are white. They are not virtues or sins, even though there's opposite traits. You can get a brave or a cowardly, a craven character. So he's also temperate, which is virtue number 2, and patient, which is virtue number 5. Then you've got a personal combat modifier, which is good in battle, and he apparently is unyielding, which is a modifier again on wars and combat. And you can also see his titles here. He's the Duke of Normandy. He has the County of Rouen, which means you have if you've got a county, you always have the top holding, which you can see over here. He's got the top holding, the county capital, and then these baronies are actually holdings that are not the capital. So it's not, you don't own the entire region, you only own one of the holdings in the lower part. Now you also got some money. You can see over here, you can see here we've got our money, our prestige. Prestige helps with I'm sorry, with our with how well the people like us. Our piety, which helps with how well religious people like us, like priests and popes and stuff like that. Our demesne size, which is 4 out of 5, we could get one more holding. Our vassal limit, which is how many vassals we can get. Our how do they call it? Realm size, which is basically how many holdings you own in total, I believe. It's basically it is nice to know because you can actually found a new kingdom for which you need, for instance, a realm size of at least 35. So this is a nice thing to know because you can know whether you can form a kingdom already if you meet all the other requirements. And you've got a score, which basically whenever you die, your current character's I believe prestige and piety is added to that score, and so basically your dynasty is gaining score over time until the game ends. So we've done this. Yeah, so we were in titles. Then we've also got a claim, which we are currently pressing, which is a strong claim on the Kingdom of England. So basically, we are trying to gain this. This is the Kingdom of England. It's currently held by Harold, and we believe it should be ours, and we have the documents to prove it. And then we've got diplomacy, which is currently we are attacking King Harold, and we are hostile, which means we can fight the troops of the Kingdom of Norge, which is over here. It's basically Norway, and that's because Norway is at the same time as us doing the Norwegian invasion of England. So it's a three-way war. Basically, the King of England is fucked. Normally, he doesn't keep his country together. It's only a question of whether the Duke of Normandy gets it or the King of Norway. Now, actually, let's wrap it up for here, and I'll talk some more about Crusader Kings the next time, as I delve into, I think we're going to do wars at the very least, show you how wars work and how peace treaties work. And so come back next time to learn some more about Crusader Kings II, and until then, I hope to see you next time. And please like and subscribe, and see you guys next time. So cheerio!